Hello, my dear students from 6th grade from the Rosario School. I'm here today to talk a little bit about the topics that we're gonna study in this second part of the second term in English, okay? That is called What We Were. That is the name of this module, yes? So, this content that we're gonna study. So, we're gonna study a really important topic. Maybe have you studied this before? That is called the past simple tense. Okay. Well, teacher, what is the past simple tense? Well, guys, it doesn't matter what is it. What matters it is what we use the past simple for. So we use the past simple tense to talk about English stories, to tell an English story in the past, to talk about an event, for example, a party, a Halloween party that happened in the past, to talk about our feelings or thoughts that maybe we had when we were a little boy, so to talk about thoughts that we had in the past, okay? And of course, to talk about history. We use the past simple tense to talk about history, important events that happened in the past and really famous. So I think that maybe you can say, okay, teacher, but that is obvious. But anyway, I want to remind you that the past simple tense is necessary when we want to talk about something that happened in the past, okay? So I think that the best idea to get familiar with this topic is to read a story in past tense. For me, it's the best way because in that way, you're going to get familiar with some verbs, that I'm going to talk a little about them later, with some verbs, and also you're gonna realize how is the structure in past tense, and now you're gonna enjoy reading this funny story in past tense, okay? Interesting stories, okay? So pay attention to this story, guys. When we talk about past tense, when we read a story in past tense, and also when in real life we want to talk English in real life using the past tense, it's really important that you pay attention to the pronunciation. In past tense, the pronunciation is quite important. So, I want you to listen to me carefully, to analyze my pronunciation, but also read with me. I'm gonna do a reading aloud, but you're gonna read with me the story, and I want you to analyze the pronunciation, my pronunciation of these verbs that appear with ed, okay? Because I'm going to talk about them later. Okay, so let's start to read this story. Okay, pay attention, it's really interesting. The title says, Always a Boy. So maybe with the picture you can guess what is the story about. But okay, in fact it's like a kind of reflection, okay? So pay attention. Many years ago, I believed in dragons, in princes and princesses. And also I wanted to know Vikings. And I expected one day to discover a mummy in Egypt. Everything that was about undiscovered monsters or fantastic characters, I really wish to find out more about them. That's because when I was a little boy, my grandfather traveled to different countries and he used to make up different stories to me. But after some years, he changed completely. And he didn't tell me a wonderful story anymore. He thought that as I was older, that was not good for me. So he started to talk with me about common things in life. But honestly, I prefer when he used to tell me stories. I consider now that I needed that when I was a little boy, but also now. If you ask me, sorry, this is us. If you ask me, I think that all of us have a boy inside and hopes that fairy tales and stories never stop. Okay, guys, as you can see, this is it's kind of a reflection. It's a boy expressing in the past tense what he loved and what he believed in. That was all these kind of characters, and that stopped when his grandfather stop of telling him a story. I think that it's a really interesting reflection because that's true, no? All of us have a boy inside, and it doesn't matter how old we are. We always, for example, in my case, I love reading story. So I think that is a funny story and an interesting reflection. Okay. So guys, I want you to analyze this. As you can see, this is a test in past tense. You can find this kind of verbs that go with ed, wanted, I believe, expected, travel, use, change. As you can see, all of these verbs, each one has ed. What does it mean? These verbs that have ed, the conjugation of these verbs is in past tense, and these verbs are called irregular verbs. What is an irregular verb, teacher? Well, irregular verbs are the verbs that when I conjugate them in past tense, for example, the verb believe, you know that believe means creer, but believe with d at the end or with ed means creí. For example, travel, you know that travel means viajar, but with ed is an irregular verb because irregular verbs has ed at the end, ed or d at the end. Okay, later we are gonna see something about it. Okay, so irregular verbs are the one that finish in ed or d. Okay, in most of the cases. Okay, so for example, travel, change, all these verbs are called irregular verbs. Why? Because when I conjugate them to past tense, for example, in this story, they are conjugated with ed because we are talking in past. But after some year, he changed. Después de algunos años, él cambió. Change means cambiar, but with ed it says cambió. Okay, so this is a kind of test talking. Okay, I mean it's written in past tense. So it's really interesting to analyze the pronunciation of the verbs and also to know more about them. So I think that you finished. I think that you finished your reading with me. I think that you are analyzing the story. So let's pay attention to some questions about it. We are gonna study this in the class. But now I want to talk about this. These are some questions, guys, related with the test, but are some questions in past tense. Maybe then you're going to study this with me in the classes, but also with the teacher, Erica. So, for example, what kind of stories did the child believe? This is a kind of question in past tense, okay? Then you're going to study why it's a question in past tense, but I think that the key is with this word. But you're going to study that later. Pay attention. What kind of stories did the child believe? ¿En qué clase de historias creía el chico? So, for example, if I say an answer, if I want to answer this question, I say, the boy believed in monsters. For example, in monsters. Or you can say they believe in different monsters. Okay, why believe, teacher? Why did I say believe and no belief? Believed because it's the past tense. Always when we answer in affirmative, in positive, in past tense, the verb goes conjugated in past tense, and in this case believe is a regular verb. It's a regular verb, so it goes with ed. Okay, with ed, believe. Teacher, why is a regular verb? Remember, guys, that in English, when you want to learn verbs, you need to learn them by practicing and memorizing them. Okay, so how do you know if a irregular verbs? You need to practice reading so much help you to detect when it's a regular or irregular verb. But in this case, we are going to talk about regular verbs. So believe is a regular verb. That is why in the answer I add ed, I add d. The boy believed. El chico creía en diferentes monstruos. Okay? Another question about what is the answer according to the story. Can you tell me? Did his grandfather change? Do you think that is true or false? Okay, very good. The answer is true. Yes, he changed. He changed when his son was okay. He changed when the little boy became older. Okay, that according to the test, his grandfather, the boy, he changed. Why? Because the little boy became older, porque el niño se volvió más grande. So his grandfather changed. Yes, he changed with ed. Why with ed? Because it's a regular verb, and I conjugate the regular verbs with ed. Yes, he changed when the little boy became older. Sí, él cambió cuando el niño se convirtió más viejo. This is an example of an irregular verb, but we're going to study the irregular verbs later. Now I want you to focus on regular verb that goes with ed or d at the end in the conjugation, en la conjugación en pasado, okay? Another example. The next question, did his grandfather stop us telling him the story? I think that is quite similar to this one, and it's true, yes. So you say, yes, his grandfather stopped telling him stories. Yes, his grandfather stopped telling him stories. As you can see, again, stop is a regular verb, so the conjugation go with ed. Stop means paró. Yes, sí, su abuelo paró de contarle historias. Yes, very good. So can you see that always with ed goes conjugated the verbs? This is not difficult. I think that is pretty easy. It's only to remember this. And finally, what did the boy suggest at the end of the test? Suggest means sugerir. ¿Qué sugería? Look at the test. I think of all of us have one inside, and I hope that first thoughts never stop. So, an indirect suggestions, una sugerencia indirecta que hace el chico, is that, okay, suggest, so you can say, what? The question is with what? It's a WH question, so you don't say with yes, you give an specific information. So you say, he suggested to never stop telling stories to people. Something, an indirect, una sugerencia indirecta que hace el chico, or reflection is, he suggested to never stop telling stories to people. Él sugería nunca parar de contar historias a las personas, because it's really important, because we have a boy inside, okay? Okay, guys, so I want you to remember this. Remember that in past simple tense, in regular verbs, what are regular verbs? Do you remember? The verbs that in the conjugation have ed when we want to talk in past tense. Ed. That means that the verb is in past tense and it's a regular verb. Okay, ed. Let's continue. I hope that this is pretty clear. Anyway, you can watch the video the times that you want. Okay, let's continue, guys. Okay, now pay attention. As I told you before, in past simple, it's really important the pronunciation. I think that maybe this is a little bit it's a little bit complex, but as everything in life is practice. If you continue practicing, your pronunciation is gonna be better. So pay attention. In past tense, the correct pronunciation of the irregular verbs depend on some rules. For example, when a verb finishes with T or with D, when a verb finishes in T or D in infinitive, I need to pronounce this like a it. What do you mean? For example, the word one finishes in T, and need, that is necesitar, finishes in D. So in past tense, when I add, the word add means agregar. When I add ed, I say the pronunciation is with it. So I say, I wanted, I needed, I wanted ice cream, I needed money. Okay? So when a word finishes in T or D and is conjugated in past simple tense with ed, we say wanted, needed. Okay? The second part, but this is only for these cases. But in these cases, when a word finishes on P, K, F, G, H, S, H, C, H, X, X, C, or X, we say the pronunciation is with T, like a T at the end. I mean not T, but the sound like creating a T. Pay attention, you need to listen. For example, in this case, we don't say, I help it. No, that's incorrect. It's incorrect, okay? You say, I helped, like pronouncing a T at the end, como pronunciando el sonido de la T al final, okay? Okay, you say helped, looked, sniffed, laughed, washed, watched, kissed, danced, fixed. You know, like pronouncing a T, como like a T at the end, okay? This is the pronunciation of these words that finishes in P, K, F, okay? You need to analyze this. And finally, the third pronunciation is when the word finishes in L, N, R, G, V, X, B, M. The pronunciation is like the sound D at the end, como creando una D al final. For example, cold, cleaned, offered, damaged, loved, used, amazed, robbed, claimed. Okay? I think that this sounds, you may see, teacher, it's the same. No, it's different. If you travel, for example, to United States, you're going to see that foreign people is going to detect this. Las personas del extranjero detectan cuando la pronunciación es correcta con T y cuando es con D. And also, these words, voiceless and voiceless means sin sonido o sin vibración. Guys, when we pronounce, for example, in this case, when we pronounce these verbs, helped, looked, that is like a T at the end, washed, we don't vibrate our vocal cords. Nuestras cuerdas vocales no vibran. En este caso, ellas no vibran. But in this case, and in this case, they vibrate. For example, touch. You can touch your throat. You can touch your throat. Pueden tocar su garganta y mirar. For example, when I say wanted, they vibrate, vibran. Or for example, when I say I called with D, con la D al final, I called, they vibrate. But for example, if you say I kissed, they don't vibrate, ya no vibran. Why? Because when we pronounce the T at the end, the T doesn't vibrate, no vibra. But in this case, and in this case, our vocal cords, nuestras cuerdas vocales, sí vibran. Y por eso es que la gente en el extranjero se fija y se da cuenta cuando pronunciamos bien o no en inglés los verbos en pasado. That is why it's really, really important that we practice this. All of these guys, you think, oh my goodness, teacher, but there are many consonants that we need to study. No, it doesn't matter. It's just practice. It's practice, and if you practice and practice, your pronunciation is going to improve. Okay? So, remember, wanted with a D, when a verb finishes in T or D, wanted, needed. When a word finishes with PK, we don't say help it. No, it's incorrect. We say helped. I looked. I laughed. I kissed. With D, I called. I cleaned. I offered. Damaged. Loved. Okay? Remember, vibration, no vibration. We say voiceless, sin sonido, or voiced. Okay? Is it clear, the pronunciation? I think that you can practice at home. Remember, guys, if you want to improve your pronunciation, that I know that is what everything wishes tell me. I mean, every people in the world wish to have a really, really beautiful pronunciation. So, if you want to practice more, I recommend you, I have always recommended you to use the Cambridge Dictionary. For example, let's look at an example. I write in Cambridge the word troubled is conjugated, it's a regular verb, it's in past tense, está en pasado, it has ed, it's a regular verb. In Cambridge Dictionary, guys, is really important because remember that you can find the definition, the word, the translation, but also in this part you can make
traveled.
Click, you can make click, and for example, you can listen the pronunciation and you can improve. For example, look, in Cambridge you can do this, you may click and listen.